y a si longtemps déjà. J'ai oublié comment. Tant de mots, de moments pensés depuis longtemps. Devant ce mur muet, faut chercher autrement. Des photos.
Hello, welcome to the Knitting with Cat Hair podcast. My name is Nikki. I'm also known as Knitting with Cat Hair on Instagram and Cat Hair Knitting on Ravelry. I am coming to you from Sudbury, Ontario, Canada, which lies atop the traditional lands of the Otigmishing Anishinaabeg people, where I live with my fiance, our 2 daughters, and our 5 cats. And if this is your first time here, a big warm welcome and a big welcome back to all returning viewers. This is primarily a knitting podcast. However, sometimes I talk about some of the other crafts I'm getting into, such as cross stitch and crochet. So I hope everyone's doing well. I am taking this opportunity, rain-free opportunity, to film outside in my backyard today. So again, I apologize if there's any background noise. There might be some traffic, etc. But yeah, we'll go with it because I definitely prefer filming outside as opposed to filming in the dungeon, the dungeon with artificial lighting. So first off, I just want to extend a great big thank you to all of you, because I have now reached over 1,000 subscribers, which absolutely blows my mind. Yeah, I was honestly, when I started this podcast, I was like aiming for 100. 100 was my goal. If there were 100 people who wanted to hear me talk about my knitting, I was going to be more than content. But now there's like over 1,000 of you, and it warms my heart. It's been such a wonderful experience, connecting with so many new people and knitters and people who share the same passion that I have. Yeah, it's been absolutely wonderful. So I can't thank you guys enough. So I will be doing a giveaway, of course. How can I not? So I will, I think what I'll do is I might do a Q&A. Yeah, maybe I'll do that. So if you want to leave a comment down below with a question that you'd like me to answer, I will put together a Q&A and draw a winner from all the comments left below. And yeah, thanks again to all of you for tuning in. It blows my mind. Anyways, so I have a few admin things as per usual to go through. So we still have the Around the World Make-Along happening in our Knitting with Cat Hair podcast group on Ravelry. This trimester, we are knitting with yarns and from patterns from the Western Hemisphere. I think it started September 1st. Yes, September 1st to December 31st. You have to complete your project in that time and post a picture of the finished object in the finished object thread to be eligible for a beautiful skein of natural U hand-dyed yarn. We also have the Marie Wallin Make-Along happening over on Instagram. And for this, it started August 1st. And all you have to do is make a pattern from Marie Wallin and post your pictures on Instagram using the hashtag A Year of Marie Wallin Cal. And there's going to be prizes. And as I've mentioned in previous podcasts, we have a little chatter thread on Instagram if you'd like to participate in that as well. It's proven to be super helpful. Yeah, it's a great little group, and everyone is just sharing all of their beautiful works in progress and yarn ideas and helping one another when we get stuck on patterns, which is fantastic. So yeah, just send me a DM over on Instagram if you'd like to be a part of that group. And I guess that's it for the admin stuff. So we'll move into the knitting chat. Today, I'll start with what I'm wearing. I'm wearing my Telja, which is a Jennifer Steingass pattern that I finished a few months ago now. This is the first time I'm actually wearing it, so I did weave in all my ends, truthfully, a couple nights ago. I hate weaving in ends, but I've done it, and it's already been washed and blocked. So yeah, I'm really happy with it. If you want to learn more about this pattern and my experience knitting it, you can check out, I think it's episode 29. I'll put a little link in at the top here, so you can click on it if you'd like to know more. I also put links to all of my project pages down below and anything that I talk about, so feel free to check down below in the description. All right, so moving into works in progress, because I have truthfully no finished objects this time around. I had 2 last time, so none this time. I have been sharing all of the love on all of my projects. So yeah, I can't seem to choose just one to work on. I just keep alternating. So maybe I will start with my Marie Wallin, because we've already talked about the Marie Wallin. So I've made quite a bit of progress on this one. I finally finished the back piece. So this is, first of all, pattern is Chestnut, obviously by Marie Wallin. It's in all over color work, Farrell style cardigan. It is knit in pieces and then seamed together. So you start with a back piece. This is my back. And you start, it's bottom up. So you start with this gorgeous corrugated ribbing. And then you work up. And as I've mentioned before, this, right where this brown pattern is, that's where the pattern stops. And then you just keep repeating. So it just repeats all the way up. You do some shaping for the armholes. And then you can see that it's still on a cord, because at some point, obviously, I'm going to have to attach it. Or I think I have to pick up for a collar. I don't know. You know, truthfully, I haven't really read that far ahead, so I'm not entirely sure. But I followed the pattern to a T. Yeah, and oh, and that little mushroom progress keeper shows you where I was last time. So I will say that it's been a very enjoyable knit. Very, very straightforward until you get to the shaping. It's a little tricky there, because you have to be, obviously you're going to be decreasing, and you have to maintain pattern, and you have to catch floats every once in a while. There's really only, I think there's like, what did I say? 4 rows where you have to catch floats per pattern repeat. So it's not too bad. But it is it's a little tricky. I had to pay a lot of attention, a lot of little tick marks. I was marking off my rows as I was going through. So I think I've done it correctly. I hope I've done it correctly. And then there's a bit of collar shaping or neck shaping at the top, which was also a bit tricky, I might add. But yeah, so back piece done. I'm not sure if I'm gonna run out of yarn. I'm a little bit worried that I'm going to run out of this raw color, which seems to be the most dominant color. Obviously, I have the most skeins of it or balls of it, but I don't know. I just feel like I might run out. So I am knitting the extra large size, which accommodates a 44 to 46 inch bust. My bust is 45 inches. Like I mentioned, it's knit in pieces and seamed. This is my first time doing an all over colorwork garment of any sort and seaming that garment. As I mentioned before, I've seamed 2 tops previously. They were cotton tops, and yeah, I've had mixed success with my seaming, let's say. So I'm hoping I do a better job on this one, but I won't be seaming for a little while. So I have not cast on for the next piece. I think the next part is going to be like the front right or the front left. And so you have to do those 2 pieces, and then the sleeves are knit separate, and again, they're knit flat. And then you pick up and do the button band and the collar, I believe. And so I still have quite a ways to go, but I feel like I don't know, when you knit in pieces, it kind of feels like you've accomplished something when you finish a piece. So I'm pretty proud of myself. And these are the yarns that I'm using. They are the called for yarns, because I ordered a kit from Marie Wallin when she had a sale a while back. So these are her British breeds, and they are a fine blend of wool spun in Devon from the Blueface Leicester, Exmoor, Wensleydale, and Swartpools sheep breeds. And they're really beautiful. There's definitely some heathering, some different shades in them. And I find it so soft, like beautiful, beautiful yarn. Not the cheapest, not the cheapest at all. Even with the discount, it was still pretty pricey. So this will probably be my one and only time I ever knit with this yarn, but it's been an enjoyable experience for sure. So that is my first work in progress. Okay, moving on. Next. So like I said, I put love into every project I have. So this is going to be kind of a recap of everything I've been working on. So housed in here, I have my Swallowtail sweater, which is a pattern by Knitosophy or Jamie Hoffman. And yeah, so I had mentioned before that I had finished this sweater, and because my colorwork gauge was so very different from my stockinette gauge, my body ended up bulging. So I had to rip back and redo the body. So I'm almost done the body. Progress keeper? Oh, I do. So I did a couple inches there. I'm almost done, and then I'm going to be starting the color work at the bottom. And then the ribbing, and I'm done. I really want to get this done. I'll probably be focusing on this one most over the next 3 weeks, just because I want to be able to wear this in fall, because it's such a fall, I don't know, it's just a beautiful fall knit. Yeah, so that's, oh, and that's knit out of Georgian Bay Fiber Co. yarn, which was a local to me dyer, but unfortunately she closed her shop earlier this spring, so I don't know if it's not even worthwhile going through the colors, but it's 100% blue face Leicester, and it's so soft. I'm loving it. It's so squishy. So yeah, that's my Swallowtail. And what do we have in here? Okay. Next up are my socks from 52 Weeks of Socks book. I'll just pop in a picture of the actual socks so you can see what they look like, because it's tricky holding up the book to the camera sometimes. But yeah, they're the Imker socks. They are by Nell or Nellie Droitz. I'll put the names below so you can see what I'm talking about. They're housed in this lovely little 2 at a time sock knitting bag from My Needle Crafts that I absolutely love and rave about every time I show it. Also, FYI, I'm not sponsored by anybody. I just talk about what I love. So yeah, I got some progress done on these socks. Oh, I'm knitting them 2 at a time, so it's a bit messy here and slower going. But I think you can see the pattern now. Yeah, that beautiful honeycomb pattern. And that little stitch marker shows where, or progress keeper shows where I was last time. So I've made some progress on them. I do really have to pay attention. Although I have the cable pattern kind of memorized, I still have to keep track of which row I'm on and that kind of thing. So it's a bit of a slower going process, but I'm very much enjoying them. The yarn is by Small Bird Workshop, which is a Canadian hand dyer. And this is her Cubby base, which is sock fingering weight, 80% superwash wool, 20% hemp, 435 yards per 100 grams. It's a 4-ply, and the colorway is called Butterscotch Pudding. And this is what it looks like in the ball. Okay, so as I've mentioned, I've been trying to look for alternatives to sock yarns that have nylon in them. So this is part of that process. So this one, like I mentioned, it has hemp in it, and I have to be honest, I'm not 100% loving knitting with this. So I don't know if you can see, it's really hard to show, but there are these like bits of, oh, here is a good one. There's these bits of, like, I guess it's the hemp that stick out, and they're very coarse, and I just want to pull them off every time they come out. I don't know. And the yarn's very splitty. So I'm not sure this is my favorite sock yarn. But you know what? Live and learn, right? Like, you don't know till you try it. And this is like, I don't mean to, you know, to badmouth Small Bird Workshop at all. She has so many lovely blends of yarns to try out. And I just feel like, and I've used a few now, actually, quite a few in the past, and loved every single one of them. This is the first time that I'm just not loving the blend. Yeah. So I think in the future, I probably wouldn't buy more of this, but I have, my mom gifted me another skein that's by Small Bird Workshop. That is, I think it's mohair. Yeah, it was, wool and mohair blend, which I'm looking forward to trying for socks as well. So the color is absolutely gorgeous. Nothing wrong with that at all. Just not loving the blend. But anyways, I will persevere and I will finish the socks and I will wear them and see, you know, who knows, maybe, you know, maybe if they're the socks that end up lasting the longest, the nylon free ones, then maybe I'll have to revisit the yarn. So I haven't given up on it yet. It's just not the most pleasurable to knit with. So those are my Imker socks. Okay, next up, two more works in progress, housed in this gorgeous bag that my mom brought me back from Ecuador, is my Florarium sweater. This is a pattern by Teti Lutsak. I will pop in a picture of what the finished piece looks like. It's beautiful. And I am knitting it up out of Knitted In, 2 strands of the colorway Lug Knit held together. So the progress keeper shows where I was last time when I showed this. And I've now completed the body portion. And at this point, I'm supposed to put it on, I think, on a cable and then start working on the sleeves is what it recommends. So you'll note that the bottom is on waste yarn. Okay, hold on. Let me show you the actual beautiful pattern because it's got color work at the bottom. So you do a provisional cast on and then you do this gorgeous color work and then you knit the body. And then, like I said, you move on to the sleeves and then you come back, I think, and then join everything, I'm assuming. So I think I mentioned in the past when I last talked about this that although my stitch gauge was on, my row gauge was way off. So at the point where I was supposed to be done, I wasn't done. I had to do like I think it was like 29 or 30 more rounds to equal the length that it should have been. So I don't know what that means in terms of my available yarn usage and if I'm gonna run out, but yeah. Anyways, I'm ready to move on with this one and get on to the sleeves. So excited. It's beautiful. And I'm a huge fan of Knitted In. Now that I've gotten past that first little trial and error, I guess, of learning how to knit with it, because it is a different process. The yarn is unspun. So for those who don't know, it's a Swedish unspun yarn. It comes in plates. I don't have any plates out here with me. I've rolled mine into balls, and I'll say that definitely has made things a lot easier in terms of knitting. It doesn't break nearly as often. Yeah. So I've just rolled it into a ball with the 2 strands together. Oh, I'm using, Lug Knit is the gray, and then the other color I'm using is this gorgeous dark teal. I think it's called Overnaden. Everything will be down below and linked on my project page. But yeah, it's beautiful. But it's dyed in small batches, and you essentially, like, you basically get one chance at getting it, and then you can't really get it again unless you know someone who's purchased it, or you can get it in like a stash sale or something like that. But yeah, so if you do end up purchasing any, I highly recommend you overcompensate, like buy more than you think you need, because you may not be able to get it again. And it's really tricky. Like I'll say it's tricky to get gauge because every blend is different. So it has different fiber types in it. Not fiber types, different blends of sheep wools. So you never know how thick, like some are thicker, some are thinner. So you can't, it's hard to say how much you're going to need. So for this one, like I said, I'm holding 2 strands together to get gauge. On my wild posy that I just finished knitting, which I talked about in my last episode, I had to use 3 strands to get gauge. So it really depends on the individual colorway that you get. But well worth it. Well worth the trial and error, I will say. I'm absolutely loving it. And already planning my next one. So yeah, that's the Florarium. Lastly is my partner's Westerly Pullover, which is a pattern by Moira Engel. I will pop in a picture of what the finished sweater looks like. So this is my longest standing whip. It's been on my needles for 4 years. It's a sweater I'm knitting for my partner. I am determined to get it done by the end of this year, actually for Christmas. So before the end of the year, I'm determined to get it done for him for Christmas. So I've been really putting a lot of effort into finishing it. So, I'm sorry, this is gonna crinkle a little bit. Try and do it as quiet as possible. There we go. Okay. So I'll just show you. I've already finished the front and the back. So this is the back. So it's got some color work. It's got some color blocking. It's got some intarsia. It is knit in pieces and seamed bottom up. There are places where there are 3 colors of yarn being used at the same time. It is 100% not a beginner pattern. And this was what I chose for my very first colorwork sweater. Yeah. So that's why it's been taking so long, but it's so interesting to see how my skills have developed over these last 4 years. Like I can really see the changes and how I do things the right way now. Not that the sweater's terrible. Like I still think, you know, my stitches are pretty even, and there's some question about the whole color dominance thing. I think someone commented on my last episode saying that, was it Arne and Carlos say that there is no such thing as color dominance, and it's just a matter of, you know, keeping tension straight, I guess, yeah. Anyways, they talk about it, and there's a link. She gave me a link in her comment on the last episode that I still have not watched yet, but I'm curious to see what they say about it, because my understanding, and maybe it's because I'm knitting Farrell right now, which is just 2 colors, Marie Wallen does speak about color dominance and stuff like that. So I guess there's differing opinions from the experts out there. But yeah, so anyways, it's not terrible. It's not terrible. I'll show my floats. These are like, and this is stuff I did like 4 years ago. Not terrible at all. So that is the back piece. I'll show you the front. It's pretty much the same. It just has a spot for the collar. Whoop. And I'm anxious to get this joined. I'm almost ready to join the 2 pieces because I keep opening my holders accidentally, and no, I'm gonna have to double check and make sure I didn't drop any stitches. And this is the front. So yeah, the 2 biggest pieces were done. Last episode I showed that I had finished the first sleeve, which has the same patterning as the body. And now I am just doing the color work at the top of the second sleeve. So yay. And I will say, as I mentioned don't do what I do. But as I mentioned in my last episode, I have given up on catching floats. It's just too much work for me. So I just knit through, don't catch floats. And I am 100% happy with it. I'm fine with it. It doesn't look as nice, and I don't know if it's affecting my gauge at all, but I just know that it's making things a lot easier for me. And this project has been a bit of a struggle, I will say. Just want to get it done. Oh, and I should mention, I am knitting it out of Knit Picks Wool of the Andes tweed yarn, which is a delightful yarn, and it's quite affordable. The only reason that I don't get Knit Picks more often is because the very last time I ordered from them, I got nailed with a huge customs fee or something. And I was like, okay, that's ridiculous, because that just takes away from the cost of the yarn. It's no longer affordable. It's much more expensive when you have to pay a huge customs fee. So that's the only reason. And that is why I also am very choosy about where I order from. Unfortunately, with the States, for some reason, they nail me every time, I swear. So I'm very careful. Unfortunately, I'm not able to order from the US very often, even though they're so close. I do make exceptions, though. And I will be making an exception in the nearish future, in the new year. Okay, so that is it for works in progress. And I have 0 acquisitions because I am on a yarn fast. I am not spending money until the new year. And even then, who knows? I have more than enough yarn to keep me busy for quite a while. Yeah, so, and money's tight right now. So it's the smart thing to do. Plus I get to use up my stash, and it's really fun because I get to revisit it and try and like envision like what projects I can make out of what I have and stuff like that. So it's been fun. So what have you been up to? What are you knitting on right now? I would love to know down in the comments below if you'd like to leave a comment. I always like to know what everyone's working on. It gives me inspiration for other projects. Of course, I get totally enabled. Oh yeah, I will mention that today is October 30th. Oh wow, yeah it is. October 30th. And that Wild Posy pattern that I test knit for Melody Hoffman and I showed off in my last episode has now been released. It was released yesterday. So for all you guys who are waiting for that pattern to come out, it's now out. And I highly recommend. Like I said, it was so quick. If you've knit a ranunculus, it's kind of reminiscent of that with the textured or the lace stitches. It keeps your interest, and it's, yeah, it's a really fun knit. And I'm thinking I might knit a white version because I have all this Plotulopi that I purchased in the summer, I think sometime. I have all this white Plotulopi that I want to put to use. So I was thinking of knitting a white version for Christmas, the lace version perhaps, because I haven't knit that one yet. And when you purchase a pattern, you get both. You get the Luna and the Flora versions, so it's nice. You can knit both. So I might do that. The other option was another ranunculus, because I did say I was going to knit one for every season, and that would make a really cute winter ranunculus, a white one. But white, not so good for me. I'm a messy eater. I'd probably drop something on it like within the first day of wear. So I don't know if white's the best way to go, but whatever. I have it. I got to use it. Yeah. So in terms of life stuff, obviously tomorrow is Halloween for those who celebrate. My daughter is going as Coraline. Pop a picture and you can see what she looks like and what the character looks like. It's pretty cute. The costume turned out really well. However, I totally dropped the ball and didn't realize that she had that red satchel or purse, whatever. I could have made one for my daughter. I could have knitted one up and felted it real quick too, but oh well. she still looked good in the costume. And I did not make this costume. It was store-bought. Yeah, so we're gonna go, hand out candy tomorrow, and my daughter's gonna go trick-or-treating in the neighborhood, and what else? Don't really have too many plans. Just trying to think what's happened. For return to work, so we're supposed to all be returning to work next week, only for 1 day a week or something like that, but I've been moved out of my previous office. So yesterday evening, I spent 2.5 hours going back to my old office and cleaning out all my crap. And I didn't realize I had so much. It's been so long since I've been in the actual office physically, since before COVID, right? So my goodness. And there was March break before that. So yeah, it was like early 2020. I hadn't been back there since. So I had to clean out all my stuff, get rid of it was a good opportunity for me to downsize all my stuff. And I don't really have a new office yet. So still working from home until they find me a new place. So yeah, that was interesting. My back's a bit sore. It was a good workout. Cleaning out my office. Speaking of workouts, I haven't been working out, but I've been making myself go for walks every lunch hour. I'm working at trying to do half-hour walk, and I've discovered the whole new world of audiobooks. So I was very hesitant to get into audiobooks. I'm very much I like tangible things. I love reading books. I love the smell of books from the library. I'm so weird. Anyways, so I had been really kind of fighting back against the whole idea of audiobooks, because I'm like, well, if I can listen to something, I'm watching a podcast, I'll be honest, that's what I'll be doing. And I also lose focus pretty easily, so listening to an audiobook, it's not like when you're reading a book and you can just go, oh, I didn't grasp that paragraph, I'll reread it or whatever. With audiobooks, I guess you'd have to rewind and stuff and find the right spot. Anyways, it just didn't seem like a good idea. However, I will say it's making me want to walk, because I listen to a book while I walk, and it makes me want to walk for longer too, because I want to continue to listen to it. So it's fantastic. So yay. And I just, I haven't joined any paid groups. Like, I'm not using Audible or anything like that, or Spotify. I'm just getting, books from my library, which is so cool. Who knew? So right now I am listening to a book called Frying Plantains. I can't remember the author, but I'll put it down below. And it's really good. It's a Canadian author, and I know she won some sort of award for her book. And yeah, it's really interesting. It's about a little girl, and who's kind of torn between two cultures. So she's Canadian, but her roots are Jamaican, and so she kind of feels like she almost doesn't fit into either. And yeah, it's just, the stories that she goes through with her family and stuff like that. And yeah, it's been really good. I really look forward to listening to it. So there's that. I've also finished reading 2 Louise Erdrich books in the past 2 months, I guess. I finished reading 4 Souls, which was fantastic. And it made me want to pick up Tracks, which is the very first Louise Erdrich book I ever read when I took an Indigenous literature course when I was at university. And yeah, that's when I discovered her as an author, and I just totally love all of her books. So I reread Tracks because her books tie into each other in a way, like the characters kind of crossover. So yeah, it made me want to pick back up the previous book. And then after I finished those 2, which are both fantastic, it made me want to read another book by her. I'm on a Louise Erdrich kick. I want to read all of her books. She has so many, and I've read so many, but my memory is not the greatest, admittedly. Yeah, so I could reread them and not even remember that I'd read them the first time. Honestly, when I reread tracks, I didn't remember the story at all. I just remember loving it when I first read it, but I couldn't remember why. Anyways, yeah, highly recommend Louise Erdrich. She's an American Indigenous author, and I just love her books. So yeah, that's what I've been up to. And yeah, no actual plans. We're moving into November. That's blowing my mind. It feels like Christmas is going to be here in no time. I'm just happy that I can sit outside and record, because normally, or not normally, but in the past, there's been instances where we've had snow at this point. It might not have lasted, but it was colder. So yeah, it's nice to be able to sit outside. Anyways, I think I'll leave it there. Thank you all for tuning in. I hope you have a wonderful next 3 weeks. Bye.